bodybuilding, powerlifting, you can always make time before or after the workout to do something athletic.
But we're like, hey, like let's commit to some of this athletic stuff.
I feel like it's benefiting, you know, I'm able to go longer during my bodybuilding sets, which is huge.
It's so dumb to come to a gym and then to lay on the ground.
It's gonna fall under like building muscle, getting lean, improving conditioning.
When you do try something new, it feels like it ruins your workout.
Like I wanna be functional, I just don't wanna be a ball of muscle that can't move or can't defend myself.
When I messed around with some squats, I remember like just being like, oh my God, my legs got so sore, I just couldn't even handle it.
You're never gonna know unless you try some of these things.
In the beginning, really try to expose yourself to a vast variety of things and vast variety of people. Kenny, how do we figure out a way to stay connected to our athleticism? Because you're a young guy and you're just a couple years removed. Like, when's the last time you were on a baseball diamond? Baseball field?
Probably like 2-3 years ago.
2-3 years ago. So it's been a long time since like I played football. It's been a long time since I did really any other like sport. Powerlifting, as Louis Simmons once said, it's a sport for the rest of us, meaning it's a sport for people that are like extremely uncoordinated, that couldn't figure out how to play football, baseball, or basketball.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I'm many, many years removed, so my body got like calcified, my body got like stuck together. And when I was your age, all the way until I was probably like 25, I did keep in a lot of athletic stuff, but that's because at the time that still called to me because I was kind of fresh off of doing a lot of those things. Right. Playing some like junior college football and doing pro wrestling and stuff like that for a while. So I had some athleticism then all the way until probably I was 30. But at 30, I was like 5 years removed from even doing anything all that athletic in my workouts. Right. So I think if we explain to the people like some of the stuff that we're messing with in our workouts might be a good idea, and the stuff that you like to do.
Yeah. So as far as like keeping it, I would just say just always make an effort to incorporate it into whatever you're doing. Even if it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, you can always make time before or after the workout to do something athletic. Sprints, box jumps, you know, moving side to side somehow, just doing something. Because the longer you like push that off, the more and more your body, like you said, is gonna get like calcified and just get like this, not be as like functional as you want it to be. But wait, what'd you ask me?
You can bodybuild, you know, you can like, people can go ahead and like just do bodybuilding movements. A lot of people won't really have like a negative outcome from that. Like as long as they're keeping like range of motion and stuff like that. But I still think it's a good idea to explore some things that have more dimensions than just lifting, you know, just a squat, just a bench, a deadlift, a bent over row, an overhead press. Like all these movements, they're great, and those are great movements. Those are fundamental movements to gaining some mass and gaining some size. But maybe when we do like something like our RDLs, maybe we use dumbbells, because if you use a dumbbell as opposed to using plates, you'll get more range of motion. Right. Or maybe if you're doing, say, like a kettlebell squat or something like that, you stand over the bar and you put your feet on a couple mats, and now you have a further distance to go to pick that kettlebell up.
Right.
You do the movement that we did the other day where we took one of the grip bells and we're putting the grip bell in the hole of the tire. Gonna get a hay now, and we're just getting a little extra range of motion.
Right.
And in a lot of the workouts that we're doing, that workout as well, we did some jumps. In today's workout, before we did back, we don't want to spend a lot of time before we do back doing a bunch of other stuff, but we're like, hey, like let's commit to some of this athletic stuff. Let's move around a little differently than your average, you know, bodybuilder. So that way, for me, I can progress. And for you, especially, that you can keep a lot of the properties that you already have. And it's just simple stuff. We're just grabbing a med ball, throwing it up as high as we can. We'll do maybe 10 sets of that, 10 sets of 1 rep.
Yeah.
Then we came back inside and we did a couple sprints. You were mentioning sprints.
Med ball slams.
Sprints on the bike mixed with some med ball slams. And now you're getting more dynamic movement. I think as we move forward, we're going to have to get more creative with it, especially because Kenny's athleticism is pretty high. So we're going to have to kind of like meet in the middle somewhere so I can progress to doing some of the things that he's doing, but scaled down to like my level. But then we also need stuff that is scaled up for him so that he can get out of it what he needs.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think of that. You could start with like just making the normal bodybuilding, powerlifting movements, just like tweaking them a little bit to make them more, I guess, like functional or athletic, or just getting a better range of motion. I didn't think of that.
Let's actually, while we're just talking, let's just go through some of these movements just to show people how simple this can be sometimes. If you can find the other thing that's like this, that would be great. Is there another one somewhere? So some of these things, sometimes it takes a little bit of a little bit of moving some shit around for a moment. But all we're gonna do,
Nope, I found it.
is we're gonna do, yeah, it's okay. We're gonna do some duck unders on this side. So just duck underneath that, don't hit it, which will actually probably be kind of hard for me, probably be easy for him. And then once you come through there, you're just gonna go like this. Pick the leg up, and hopefully you don't hit anything like I did.
Okay, so just...
Yep. Try to make sure the area is not obstructed with anything you can fall on or hurt yourself with. But sometimes these movements can be so simple. We go this way a couple times.
Yep.
Then we'll just go back the other way. And I know that we are podcasting, so all we're doing right now is we're just putting our foot up and over an object that's in the rack. It's just a bar that's in the rack. And then we're dunking underneath another chunk of material to, work the hips and to work some of the areas of the lower back. But that kind of stuff feels really good. Do a couple sets of this before you start your workout, and you'll be surprised at where your mobility can go from here with just simple exercises like that. Again, if you're already connected to your sport and it hasn't been that long since you played your sport, these things will be easier. But a bunch of other things that we're going to get into. Kenny and I, we ran the other day. That's the first time Kenny's run in a long time.
Oh yeah.
How'd that feel?
It felt good at the end of it, but it definitely, my body wasn't too used to it. I was able to adapt a little bit. Like, it's not like I was dying completely, but I did deal with a couple cramps. Like, my body was cramping up a little bit. I didn't have the endurance as I used to, but I liked it. It's still, I was able to kind of adjust. You were definitely killing me a lot further ahead, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think forcing yourself to get outside of your comfort zone. I've been doing the bodybuilding stuff for a while now, just doing the same thing. So when he asked me to run, I was like, absolutely. I just wanted to see what I could do. And I liked it. It just definitely need to probably incorporate that a little bit more so I can improve on it. But I liked it.
And, maybe for some of you out there, you're like, man, I don't know what these guys, it's too much, man. I'm not going to go on like a run. Maybe what you could do is you could try some walking mixed with some jogging, or some walking mixed with some running. So walking and jogging, walking would be your just normal walk, and you just pick up the pace a little bit. Yesterday, when we jogged, we ran very slow, like a 12-minute mile pace, and you can use the Nike Run Club app. There's a lot of other apps, and the thing will tell you what your pace is. It will tell you how fast you're running, and a 12-minute mile pace is a very modest beginner pace. It's a good place to start. So maybe you're doing that intermittently. Maybe you're walking in between that. If that's too boring, what you could do is you can walk for maybe about 3 minutes, and every 3 minutes you can sprint for like 10 or 15 seconds. I wouldn't say go all out, because a lot of us aren't conditioned for that. But go to 70%. Maybe do 5 sets of that your first time out. That's not that much running. 5 sets of 10 seconds is not really that much running. And so maybe you do that for the day, and you found that was a way to kind of make your 10-minute walk a little bit more fun. But there's so many ways that you can implement some of what we're talking about without it being a lot of extra energy or feeling like it's a waste of time. You know, I used to see people, like when I'd go to a gym, I'd see people like rolling around on a foam roller, and I was always like, that's so dumb to come to a gym and then to lay on the ground.
Yeah.
And I still think that that's a stupid practice. I think instead you should do something in between, like drag the sled and then get on the ground and do something. That way you're at least like warming your body up as you're trying to tune your body up for your workout. But something as simple as what we did today, at the end of our back workout, we got on the ground and did some of the stuff that we see Nsima do a lot of. And that's just a row where you're just on the ground. Today we were actually sitting on top of something, but you get a good stretch in your hamstrings, a good stretch in your groin. So rather than some of you that might be thinking like, I'm not gonna do any of that, maybe you can just think of like, what are some ways that you can just implement a little bit more movement into what it is you're doing. And another example was what we did with walking the other day when we were walking inside the gym, what we were doing then. You remember that?
The walking with the with the plate, with the dumbbells.
That shit was hard, right?
That was really hard. Yeah, that was very difficult.
So stuff like that is like, you know, you're not even really thinking that that's going to really do anything. It's not super dynamic. It's not going to turn you into a freak athlete by any means. You're not going to be like TK Metcalf of the Seahawks. But as we were walking, we're just doing lateral raises. Like, why not? Like a lateral raise is like real simple movement. We did lateral raises. We did some front raises. We did some stuff where we held the plate out and tried to walk with that.
Yeah.
Now you're getting into like the core. You want to really get way into it. You could do something like that where you walk with a 25-pound plate, and boom, you put it down. You go run to another object. Maybe you pick up a sandbag. You carry the sandbag down, and like you can really turn it into like a relay. And that's the stuff that you're going to see Kenny and I get into more as we start, you know, diving into some of the basics. And already you're feeling some differences with your breathing, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I just on that, like that, all of that stuff has definitely improved my bodybuilding stuff. And also just touching on like jumping into something new, like the running, the conditioning stuff we've been doing, implementing like a lot of athletic movements, I guess, before the workout. Just don't put any expectation on like, I already know I'm going to be shitty at that. I'm not going to like that. You might not like it for the first couple of weeks. I know when I started doing it with Mark, I was just used to going right into my bodybuilding work and just leaving the gym. And then when he threw that at me, I was like, I kind of feel like I'm not conditioned. I'm kind of out of shape. I don't know if this is going to be beneficial for what my goals. But after like a couple weeks, I feel amazing. And I'm glad that I just kept, you know, trying to improve at that, because now I feel like it's benefiting. You know, I'm able to go longer during my bodybuilding sets, which is huge. And it might, who's to say it's not like optimal for bodybuilding. One thing you taught me was like, there's no rules to this. I can do whatever I want, and it's gonna probably, no matter what, we're still using weights. It might be like some walking lateral raises, but who's to say that's not just as optimal as doing 3 sets that are standing. It's gonna fall under like building muscle, getting lean, improving conditioning. It's gonna fall under one of those, and I want all of those. So I don't really, the whole optimal thing, like I just feel like you should definitely keep trying stuff that's new and not be so closed-minded to it.
I would say like so far, I mean, we're early in this process. We haven't really been lifting together for that long, so we can't really definitively say.
Yeah.
But all this idea of like these things are going to kill your gains and stuff, I mean, so far since we've been training together, you got bigger.
Yeah, I feel amazing too.
Right?
My breathing, like you said, my breathing has got way better. I was getting winded just walking in the warehouse. Now, like today's probably the first day I noticed like a
We
dramatic
did the sprints
difference.
on the bike, and
Yeah,
no
I
sweat.
felt amazing. Like before I was gassed. Like the rest of the workout I was done. And then we hit a whole back workout and I feel amazing. So I'm like, I think most people would benefit from this. Like obviously if you're a top level Olympia stage, like maybe, but even then I still think everybody should try to implement some type of like being functional, because I know I don't want to be, even if I become a pro bodybuilder and I'm competitive, I don't want to just be I want to be functional. I just don't want to be a ball of muscle that can't move or can't defend myself or can't do anything but just lift weights in the gym. So I think this stuff is huge and it'll go a long way for sure.
We're doing some unconventional stuff, and the stuff isn't so unconventional that it's so wacky and weird that where you're like, I would never try that. even if it is a little wacky and weird for you and different, you could just try it on a different day. So you can try it on like an off day, on a day where you don't have as much responsibility. Maybe you're trying to get into our calf Hall of Fame, which makes sure you start paying attention, because we're going to give out trophies for the calf Hall of Fame, the forearm Hall of Fame.
Neck Hall of Fame, the big one.
And the neck Hall of Fame. And maybe even some people will make it into the shin Hall of Fame. I mean, I don't know where this is all going to go.
Rear delt Hall of Fame as well. Don't
Rear
forget
delt,
that.
can't forget the rear delts. These are people that are like really doing their homework.
Yeah.
But anyway, on a day where you're doing like calves, or a day where you're doing, calves and abs, maybe that's a day where you can start to explore some different movements and be like, oh yeah, I kind of see what they're talking about. Because sometimes when you do try something new, it feels like it ruins your workout. You had this like this 5x5 you were dead set on your squats. So we're not saying like replace that. We're saying to add some of these things in, see how you like them, but give them an honest shot, because it's really easy for us to look back on our lifting and to think, man, I fell in love with it right away. But did you really? And did you really fall in love with all the different aspects of lifting? I remember my brothers putting a barbell on my back for a squat. Like, this is how it's done. This is what you do. This is like your manhood right here is a freaking squat. And I was like, yeah, but it hurts my neck. And I didn't know, like, you're not supposed to put the bar on your neck. The bar's supposed to be like on your back.
Yeah.
And on like your traps and your rear delts and stuff. But I didn't have any of those. So I was like, hey, can I put the pad thing? They were like,
oh man.
They're like, what pad? Like, what pad thing are you talking about?
Yeah.
They got really upset with me. So I was like, hey, forget I ever mentioned anything about a pad. I'll figure this out. But I didn't love all of it. And I remember the first couple of weeks when I messed around with some squats, I remember like just being like, oh my God, my legs got so sore. I just couldn't even handle it. So for a while, I was one of those dudes. I just mainly trained upper body. I know people are probably infuriated right now.
Yeah.
They're so mad. And I wasn't good at squats till way later. But in the end, following my interest ended up being what really helped me and what really shaped me, because if I would have started out training legs earlier, maybe I would have gotten injured. Maybe I would have got burnt out faster.
Right.
And luckily my brothers, they were only like kidding with me. They weren't like going to force me to do something that I really didn't want to do. But they were like really adamant, like, dude, no, there's no other thing other than squats.
Yeah.
You can't leg press. And I changed my perspective on that. And so if you're somebody out there that's trying some of these things, but you like your own variations of them, just lean into that, because I think it's really important. Don't worry about what other people are saying. There's so many people that will say that you can't lift and be big, you can't lift, run, and be big at the same time. But there's a lot of people disproving that theory all the time. I think Nick Bare is a great example of that. Nick Bare is running like 7-minute mile pace for an entire marathon. He's still, 210 pounds. He competed recently in bodybuilding. He got really shredded. And there's other examples. There's Sam Okwanoa, who's doing the same thing. There's myself. I'm still around 225, 230 pounds, still holding a pretty good amount of mass. So all this information about, don't stretch.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay to be hypermobile. People will say stuff like that. It's like, how does it not pay to be like really good at something? Like,
Yeah.
I understand, okay, someone could be hypermobile and maybe they're not strong and maybe they run into injuries, but why not work towards both?
Right. Yeah. That's how I see it. I don't want to ever pigeonhole myself in any one area, like the bodybuilding thing. That's why I'm super open-minded to like trying everything Mark's throwing at me. I'm never going to say no, because I always know there's going to be some type of benefit that comes out of it. So I do think to start as well, you can just like throw it in where it fits, like an off day, or if you're on a D, like just you can fit it in somewhere. There's no way that you cannot fit it into your training or your goal or whatever it is you're doing. Morning fasted cardio, that'd be a great time to play. I used to do that in my prep. I would place box jumps and different movements that I just wanted to try out. Even if I didn't stick to them, there's always a place you can fit those in. So I think that's important too. So yeah.
And if you put something in now, like let's say tomorrow Kenny's like, all right, I'm gonna mess around with jump rope.
Yeah.
And say for the next 3 years you're halfway dedicated to jumping rope. You jump rope twice a week for the next 3 years. You're gonna be proficient at it. You're gonna be good at it. And you know, it doesn't take long. You know, okay, a couple years might seem like a long time, but to acquire a new skill and to be really good at something and to have just something as simple as a jump rope, you can carry that around anywhere.
Yeah.
And now you have a whole nother skill set. I know a bunch of friends that know CrossFit workouts. CrossFit workouts are amazing. Like you can hop on a bike, and in between that you can do, you know, burpees or push-ups or something. You can do these workouts that just are excruciating, and they could smash you in like 12 minutes. So if you're somebody as you get older, maybe for work you travel a bunch, or maybe just you want to see the world and you're on vacation, if there's a hotel gym, or if there's just an area for you to do some like burpees and like run or jump rope, if you have these skill sets, you don't have to worry. The gym you can carry around with you inside of here if you have the correct skill sets for it. But again, if you're just kind of always, and this is how you change your motivation. We get a lot of questions that people ask all the time. How do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused? How do I stay on point? In my opinion, the way to stay on point, the way to stay focused, the way to stay fired up is to do what I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that's to never really do the same workout twice. I can honestly say I've never done the same workout twice. There's always been some manipulation or variation, whether it's the reps, the sets, the tempo, the pausing, the whatever. I've changed something every time, and then even within that, I might be like, oh yeah, I saw that the other day. I saw so-and-so, you know, do this exercise on an incline bench, and I want to try it.
Yeah, that goes again, that's going to trigger a lot of people, because all the bodybuilders, even power, everybody, like the most optimal way to train is do the same workouts every week and progress on those movements every single week.
I'll follow exactly
by
what's on the plan.
2.5 pounds. And for me, it's just like, one, I don't know what I believe or how I feel. I don't have enough skin in the game to tell you guys what's better, but I know which one I enjoy more, and I don't want to go into the gym and hit the same movements every single week. Who knows if it gets me 2% better, like I don't really care, because I want to do what I enjoy. I'm not going to be motivated if I'm not doing like workouts I enjoy. So I think that's huge too, is like we talked about in another video, like it might be optimal on paper, but that does not mean it's going to be optimal for you if you don't enjoy what you're doing.
If you don't dig it, a lot of times you're just not going to put the same into it that you probably should. And so the more that you like it, the more that you enjoy it, and that's why we're advising that you try some of these different workouts. Just because maybe you heard bad things about CrossFit doesn't mean you should never try it. Oh wait, I heard people get hurt in that sport. And it's like, well, people get hurt in every sport. Powerlifters get hurt all the time. We've unfortunately seen bodybuilders die. Like when we get to any of these extremes, people are going to get jacked up. And with something like CrossFit, where they're doing stuff for time, people are going to get completely wrecked. Olympic lifting can be really hard on the joints. But again, how cool would it be if you had a proficient, like I would love to be able to put big weights over my head, but I never learned it. So
Right.
I don't have the skill set.
Yeah.
And for me at this point, I could still learn it, but there are some things sometimes that will pull away from so much of what you're doing. That I have done Olympic lifting before. I have tried it before. I had a coach show me some stuff, and it was just like to a point where it's like, well, I got to change too many things.
Right.
And that's where some of you might get, and then you can make a decision on which lane you want to try to stay in. I think coming up, we're gonna have his friend come in, Jake. He's gonna show us some.
Jordan. I was just gonna bring that up.
Jake Jordan's gonna show us some like jiu-jitsu and some grappling. I don't know how long we'll do it for. Like maybe we do it for 3 weeks. I'm like, dude, my elbows, my knees, like we're all scraped up, and we're like,
Right.
hey, we gave it a little bit of a shot.
Yeah.
But maybe we don't like it. But how do we know unless we try it?
Exactly. I think trying it and weighing it out is like the biggest part. So I think, yeah, we're going to implement a little bit of grappling, just jiu-jitsu stuff. And again, put it where it fits. So it might be, we might come in here on an off day, or we might come in here on like, maybe an upper body day that's not as taxing, and then we'll do some grappling after and just keep it super simple. But yeah, like you said, you're never going to know unless you try some of these things. So I see so many bodybuilders, so many people I know too, just can't, they're not willing to try or experience anything else but what they know to be the best through whoever they listen to or whatever they see on social media or whatever their coach is telling them. So yeah, even my coach, when he prepped me for my show, like every single warm up I did, it wasn't laying on a foam roller. It was 3 sets of 12 med ball slams, rotational work, and maybe like a side plank or a Copenhagen plank, stuff that still makes me feel like an athlete. Then go into the bodybuilding work, because in my head, I want to try to be like, keep the same athleticism I had when I was an athlete, like playing baseball, playing a sport. So that's very important.
How
to
much
me.
more impressive would it be, like when you're like 265,
I know.
you're single digit body fat, and you
Yeah.
can still jump and you can still run. You're like, hey, let's go run 3 miles, and you're
Yeah.
265 and you're jacked.
To
Like, to
me,
me, that's sick.
yeah, to me that's huge. I would much rather, I'm not going to say I don't know what I exactly want yet, but I mean, I would take something like that if I could build myself up over maybe being, you know, 265 but not mobile or functional and being a pro bodybuilder. I don't, right at this moment, I'd much rather be well-rounded and do it that way than just pigeonhole myself and try to get a pro card and do all that. Like, I want to keep learning, keep trying different things, and really just try to, yeah, just be an athlete, as much of an athlete as I can.
Yeah, just because someone owns a truck and loves to cruise down the street with the window down, listening to some country music, doesn't mean they don't have a desire to drive a sports car and listen to some rap music. There's no reason why you can't. There's really no reason why you can't go after all of it. It might take you longer to kind of go that route, but what's the big? I think people need to try to decide, like, ultimately, where do they kind of want to end up? What do you want to be? What do you want to look like? And I think a good place to start sometimes is with modeling yourself after some people that you see that are on social media. You want to be a little cautious of that, a little careful with that, but maybe you take aspects of what this guy does over here. Maybe you take, someone that comes to mind is like someone like Cam Hanes, who is like a hunter, a lifter, a runner, right? He's doing all these different things. Maybe you take a combination of that guy, a little mindset from David Goggins. Oh man, I love the mindset of Joe Rogan. Maybe you take the lightheartedness and the funniness of like a Tom Segura. You start to blend all these things together. You're like, there's no reason why I can't be a little blend of some of these people. And when you're young, I don't think you have a lot of choices in terms of who you want to be, how you want to do it, other than just starting out by simply kind of mimicking and copying what other people are doing, just like a little kid does that. As you get older, you start to find your own rhythm. You start to find your own things that you really like and you really enjoy, and then you get to lean into them more. But in the beginning, really try to expose yourself to a vast variety of things and vast variety of people.
Also thinking about like the longevity side of things, for me, I just turned 22 and I do not want to do bodybuilding training for 2 decades. And then, you've seen some of the bodybuilders, not to hate on bodybuilding, but you've seen what the outcome and result can be of just going super heavy all the time and just doing one thing, which you can argue that'll get you to the top, but I don't want to be, again, I want to be functional. So think about these things as like past the next couple months or past a year. Like for me, all this stuff, incorporating running, maybe doing grappling, doing, the athletic stuff we're doing, to me, that's going to help me down the road more so than right this second. So that's why I also stick to it. It keeps me motivated because I do not want to be, messed up as I get older.
Having some success previously in other sports, it's easier to learn stuff. Like, I kind of forget that sports is like part of my wheelhouse because I spent so much time being a meathead. I kind of thought like, I'm not that athletic, which is true. I kind of made myself unathletic because I made myself so stuck together for one particular sport. But when they were instructing in tennis, the guy kept telling me how to hit the ball, and I was like, oh, you basically just want me to swing the racket as slow as I can. He was like, bingo. He's like, that's the way you do it. That's the way you're gonna hit the ball harder and better because you're gonna be more accurate by kind of moving a little slower. And he's like, if you want to put something on it somewhere, he's like, it's only like in the follow through. And then I kind of started getting a hang of that. And my body doesn't move super fluidly because I'm kind of stiff, but it was still fun and I was still progressing at it pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, I think stuff like swinging a baseball bat, I think if I kind of like showed you
Yeah,
some
you try
stuff.
to swing so hard.
Yeah, it's more of like a flow, like
Yeah.
you're talking about, like hip rotation.
Yeah.
You know, doing certain cues in your head with like your hands and your, bat path and like stuff like that. So I think you'd get a kick out of swinging, like hitting batting practice.
Yeah.
Like on a field too, so you can see the ball, you can kind of get the feeling, and it's like a workout. I'm sore every time I would hit and go hit for hours on end. I would be sore as hell when I woke up. So yeah, I think just doing stuff like that be super fun.
In baseball, did you ever practice like throwing with the other arm, and did you practice swinging from the other side of the plate?
Yeah, I did practice swinging from the other side of the plate, and I could do it. I never did it in a game. I would always do
You
it.
just did some reps just to
Yeah,
kinda
like I could still do it now. I could hit from both sides now. I'm not saying I could hit 90 miles per hour fastball, but I could do it. Throwing left-handed is a little bit tricky. I've done it. I probably can do it if like we're just playing catch, but as far as like, fielding something and throwing it all the way to home plate from outfield, I don't know if I could do that. But yeah, I have tried both sides. I think that a lot of people can do that too, so that's super impressive. But yeah, I think if we treated it more as like a workout, like we trained and we went to the baseball
throw 10
field.
times with your right, 10 times with your left.
Exactly, 10
Yeah.
sets of 10, something like that. It'd be super fun.
It's interesting because we think that like one side is like way superior to the other, but you kind of forget all the things that your left hand does. So like if you are playing something like baseball, you're thinking, oh, I'm right-handed. That's all they say is I'm right-handed. You're going to throw with your right, pitch with your right, swing from a certain side of the plate because you're more right-handed dominant. But the left hand does all the catching.
Yeah.
Left hand catches the ball, and like that takes a huge skill set, and that's like your eyes and your hand coordination of specifically, the ball comes in at a certain time, a certain way, and you trying to like watch the hop of it and all the different things that happen. In baseball, the reason why I'm bringing that up is that we don't really, in the gym, there's not a lot of opportunity to really react to stuff.
Yeah.
I guess we're like kind of reacting to like the weight, but we know the bar path, we know what we're doing. We're going down, in a slow controlled motion in a squat, bench, deadlift, some pressing or pulling movement of some sort. And it's pretty simple to like wrap your brain around.
Right.
But a ball that starts to bounce all over the place or gets hit off of a baseball bat, now you've got to really pay attention to it.
Yeah.
And I think that as you're mentioning something like longevity, it's like that's really good for your eyesight, that's good for your brain activity.
Yeah.
And now I have to like literally chase after this ball, and I'm getting exercise in that is so different than, us sprinting on, like the sprints on the bike, they're fun, but it's more fun to sprint after a ball, pick it up and throw it as fast as you can.
Right, yeah. Playing like shortstop, third base, outfield, like everything is like your first instinct, like your first step back when you see a fly ball is super important, or else you're going to get beat. Reading hops when it's a hard hit ground ball.
It's like people are geniuses with that stuff.
Yeah, and
like
I didn't
where to
realize
put their glove.
Yeah, I didn't
stuff.
realize how hard that stuff was until I came out of baseball completely after playing my whole life, and I did some powerlifting. To me, powerlifting and like bodybuilding and stuff was super. It's difficult, but like the whole it was a lot easier than doing all that stuff where I have to constantly be mentally like looking for stuff so I don't get beat, and you always have to kind of be on. But talking about the throwing with your opposite arm, I broke my hand in college. So now that I think about it, I did use I'd have to throw and catch and do it. I'd still take reps with the outfielders, but I'd have a cast on. So I'd throw left. I couldn't throw, but I'd just put a lefty glove on and take all my reps. So I do have some experience with this side for sure. So
Hey guys, I think that kind of concludes what we have going on here today. I think it's really important that you try some different things. Just do your best to, I guess when I was younger, someone would present me with something, I'd be right away I'd be like no, or I'd automatically make a face to it. I'd have a visceral response to something that was different than what I was currently doing. And probably especially in my late 20s, early 30s, when I was really deep rooted into powerlifting, if you would have been like, hey, these glute bridges are really going to help your squat, I would have been like,
Yeah.
Come on, dude, get the hell out of here with this stuff. Or this rotational work with the med ball, you know, it's going to help you because you're going to be able to be in your sport that you love longer.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to survive longer if you have good internal, external rotation of your hips. You're going to be able to, so try some of these, you know, 90-90 drills. And I'd be like, come on, get the fuck out of here. But that mindset is going to be the thing that is going to most likely lead to your demise. So do your best to be open-minded to some suggestions and say, that's interesting. I think that's cool what that guy's trying. At some point, I'm gonna look into that a little bit further and maybe give it a go.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Be sure to follow us
Eyes of
on
this guy.
Anabolic Activities on YouTube, Anabolic Activities on
Wait a
Instagram.
second.
We love the comments. I'll try to reply to as many as I can. And Mark Smelly Bell on Instagram. That's it.
I think some of what we've been doing, like I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel it's helping with like nutrient partitioning. Like
Yeah.
I feels like because of the
I
sprints.
feel like I'm getting leaner a little bit too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I think it's really helping, like kind of, because I don't know if Kenny does the same exact thing as I do, but you usually have some calories while we're training, right?
Yeah,
Through
intra
like
workout.
intra workout.
I like Gatorade and a hydration pack for sure.
Yeah. And so I'm doing the same thing. Sometimes I have like a cyclic dextrin carbohydrate mix or some amino mix going on during the workout, and it feels like the stuff that we're doing right now, in addition to just the bodybuilding stuff, but the sprints and the med ball stuff, it seems like there's a metabolic component to that, where right now I just feel like I have a pump and we're just like kind of sitting here just chilling.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
We're getting fucking jacked.
Yep, we're getting huge.
That's it from Anabolic Activities. Strength is never weakness, weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.
All right, if you guys like this episode, make sure to check out our last episode on building muscle and what beginners should do, the steps they should take. Click it right here. It's going to be right here. Make sure you click it. It's a great video. It's at 8.9K. Please get us to 10. Leave a comment, drop a like. Please just click this video.